Celtics playing without many of their stars, including Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, took on the Raptors, I should say, and lost. Pascal Siakam went for 40 points, 13 rebounds. Raptors in overtime got the win. In Memphis, the Warriors playing without anybody. Draymond Green didn't play. The Splash Brothers didn't play. They got blown out by the Grizzlies, who were playing without John Morant. Steve Kerr got thrown out of this game. Grizzlies are now 18-2 without Morant. And don't look now. The Spurs are inching closer to the playoffs. They beat the Rockets by 3. DeJounte Murray led the way for San Antonio with 33. So take a look at where the Spurs are. As Windy said, based upon the tiebreaker, they're basically in a flat-footed tie at this point with the Lakers for the 10th and final spot. And the Lakers' remaining schedule is brutal. 6 of their last 8 games are against teams over 500. They're playing a Dallas team tonight that needs a win, and they will probably be without. Well, let me ask you, is LeBron James going to play tonight?
He's listed as doubtful. The way he was talking the other night, considering it's the same side as his sore knee, I'll never bet against LeBron playing, but it sounded like he was going to be out. So,
again, RJ, I mean, you know him so well. You played with him, won the championship there together in Cleveland. It's a weird conversation because LeBron is playing so well and his team is so bad. How do you see this for him and for the Lakers with a week and a half to go?
I feel like they are rooting for the San Antonio Spurs. The Lakers are really rooting for the Spurs to win games. That's all they're trying to do.
Get out of the year.
This season's over. There's nothing to be gained from this year. Like, obviously, we've done the Karl Malone and LeBron James being 30, 10, and 10, like all the things. But there's nothing positive to take from this season. They just need, and that's why, look, they didn't make any trades. They didn't give up any assets. They were like, look, we're just going to finish this season, and then we're going to quietly go into this offseason and try and figure it out.
Is that going to be okay with him? You know?
Yes, because it's like, look, this is one thing that everyone wants to applaud his IQ and talk about how smart he is. Well, he knows what this team is capable of doing. He knows what the ceiling for this team is. And so he's going to try and raise his level, which he has, leading the league in scoring, doing all the things that he can. But he also is very aware that, like, it doesn't matter how many points I score, this team can't contend for a title, let alone a title run.
If and when they get Anthony Davis back down this stretch here, will we at least get to see what this team could be going forward? I guess what I'm trying to ask you is, before I ask Wendy about what the Lakers are thinking, do you believe LeBron is thinking he and Anthony Davis are still the combination going forward in LA to win titles?
100%. But one thing LeBron James is choosing is that it's not up to LeBron James. It's up to Anthony Davis. LeBron James is holding up his end of the bargain. If anything, he's carrying weight for Anthony Davis.
Right.
What he needs Anthony Davis to do is start carrying weight for him, and then the other guys like Russell, like Carmelo, he needs to carry that weight. So it's not up to LeBron James. It's up to AD.
Well, they need to get rid of all those guys you're talking about. I mean, that's not the future in LA, clearly. And Russell Westbrook, that hasn't worked out. Carmelo was an older player. Anthony Davis was supposed to be the guy who became the 1A to LeBron's 1B. I don't know that anyone can feel confident he's going to be that guy because of his inability to stay healthy. So how does that look going forward?
So there are people who will tell you the only way the Lakers can get out of this situation is by looking to trade him because they have nothing else of value really to trade. I am not in that camp.
No.
I believe you keep 2 top 15 players together. But I will say this. LeBron, after 4 years with the team, he just exhausts that. Ask the man sitting at this desk here. Mm-hmm. At the end of that 4-year stretch in Cleveland, the entire organization was exhausted. Exhausted mentally, exhausted physically, exhausted assets. That is where the Lakers are right now. And so I just don't know how this team gets better, especially with all due respect. Their front office has not shown an ability to be very deft with moves.
So how do they get better? How does LeBron get back to a place, assuming that he's not satisfied to just, look, he's had a brilliant career. He's made all the money in the world. He could easily just sort of ride off into the sunset. But I don't get a sense that he's satisfied with that. No. So how does he get back to another place to try and win another championship?
It all falls on Anthony Davis. I said that earlier.
But what does that mean? He can't stay healthy, Richard.
Well, if he can't stay healthy, I believe that he can stay healthy. I am the optimistic person that he needs to change his workout regimen. He needs to change the way he's approaching the game. He's not as young as he once was. And if he can change that mentality, then I think that there's still hope and optimism that, like you said, you keep 2 top 15 players, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. People are afraid to break them up, and they're not nearly as good as LeBron James and Anthony Davis, in my opinion. So when I look at this Laker team, I look at a team that has the pieces. They just have to find everything else that goes around them.
Anthony Davis is going to have to work on, I talk to people in the league, his balance. I know this sounds very basic. He falls down a lot.
Yeah.
So he like, if you study a guy like Joel Embiid, who falls down a lot too, but he has improved his balance a lot. He would do well to just improve his balance, and that would reduce his injuries.
Back on Get Up, RJ is back with us today. Let's play a game called Likely or Unlikely. RJ, are the Lakers likely or unlikely to win a playoff series?
A playoff series? They're almost unlikely to make the play-in tournament right now. LeBron James rolled his ankle, actually didn't look very, very pretty. So, very unlikely.
They got to play the Suns. You realize that. There's no chance of the 7th seed.
Yeah,
They're going to have to play the 8th.
Yeah, I think there's a better chance of them not making the play-in than actually winning a playoff series.
All right, that's a definitive answer, and I think I agree. Windy, likely or unlikely that Zion is a Pelican next season?
Boy, I'm going to say likely, but I don't feel good about it. It's not just about where he is with the franchise. He's got a contract extension decision. He's got to decide, and the Pelicans have to decide full max, partial max.
Full max.
Okay, well, maybe they're not ready to give it to him, so I don't know.
That would be a risky move.
Real risky.
Speaking of injured stars, RJ, are the Nets likely or unlikely to win a title without Ben Simmons contributing?
I'm going to say no. I think winning a championship is the hardest thing that you can do in sports. If you had that type of talent and that type of player on the sideline for this entire run, it'd be different if they were 1 or 2 and they had an easier path and maybe they can get lucky. No, that's not the situation.
There is no easy path in the East, right? And we've talked about it, and there's the odds to win the conference. There's no team, whether you're the 1st seed or the 9th seed, or by the time we get to the actual playoffs, it'll be 8. There is no easy path in the Eastern Conference, right?
No, there is no easy path. And when you look at those teams 1 through, I think, 5 are all bunched together. Mm-hmm. So you don't even know. They're not even in a position right now where you know who you're potentially going to play. So it's like normally you start to kind of stagger, start playing that jockeying game. They can't even do that.
All right, stay there. I'm going to get back to the Nets in a minute. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.